Rain hit Chicago like God was trying to wash something away. Michael Torres held his daughter's hand tighter as they hurried toward the Blue Line station, water streaming down the cracked pavement in dark rivulets. His shift at the hospital kitchen had run late, again, and Emma's piano lesson was already over. He was tired in that bone-deep way that comes from working 2 jobs and sleeping 4 hours. That's when he heard the screaming. A crowd had formed near the subway entrance, phones raised like offerings to some digital deity. In the center, illuminated by flickering streetlights and a dozen camera flashes, stood a girl. She was maybe 19, 20 at most. Her hoodie was pulled so far forward, only her mouth was visible, and she was screaming at everyone to stop looking. "Don't look at me, please. I'm disgusting." Before we proceed, this is the beginning of an endless journey full of interesting, inspirational, and educational stories. Subscribe to our channel as we want you on this journey as a true member, and make sure to tell us where you are watching from in the comments section. Back to the story. Nobody lowered their phones. If anything, they moved closer. Michael felt Emma's hand tighten in his. He should keep walking. He had enough problems. Emma had school tomorrow. The bills on his kitchen table weren't going to pay themselves. But Emma was staring at the girl with those brown eyes that saw too much for 7 years old. "Daddy," she whispered. Her voice sounds like it hurts. The girl's screaming had dissolved into ragged sobs. Someone in the crowd laughed. Someone else said, "This is going straight to TikTok." Michael closed his eyes, made a decision he'd regret. He approached slowly, hands visible, and did something nobody expected. He turned his face away and knelt down, putting himself at her level without looking at her. "Hey," he said quietly, "I'm not recording. I'm not looking. I just want to help." The sobbing stopped. For a moment, there was only rain. "You're lying," the girl choked out. "I'm not. My name's Michael. This is Emma. We're just trying to get home, but Emma was worried about you." Emma, bless her fearless heart, stepped closer. "Does it hurt?" she asked. "All the time?" The question hung in the wet air. Then the girl made a sound, something between a laugh and a sob, and bolted. Not toward the subway, but into the rain, running like something was chasing her. Michael didn't think. He just ran. He caught up to her 2 blocks away, in an alley behind a shuttered bodega. She'd collapsed against a dumpster, hyperventilating, her hood finally fallen back. That's when he saw her face. The burns covered the left side completely, reaching from her hairline to her jaw. But it wasn't the scars that made his breath catch. It was the precision. These weren't accident burns. They were deliberate, surgical almost, like someone had carefully mapped out exactly how to destroy her. She saw him staring and screamed again, covering her face with both hands. "I'm sorry," Michael said, turning away immediately. "I'm sorry, I won't look. I just wanted to make sure you were okay." "I'm not okay," she gasped. "I'll never be okay. Do you understand? They made sure of that." They. The word hit different than it or accident. Emma appeared at the alley entrance, rain-soaked and worried. "We should call someone," Michael said carefully. "An ambulance or—" "No." The girl's voice went hard. "No hospitals, no police, no cameras. If you try to call anyone, I'll run, and next time I won't stop until I'm in the lake." She meant it. Michael heard suicide in her voice, like he'd heard it on his late-night phone counseling calls. "Okay," he said softly. "No calls. But you can't stay in this alley. Let me at least get you somewhere dry." She laughed, bitter and broken. "Why? Why would you help someone like me?" "Because," Emma said before Michael could answer, "our mom died 2 years ago, and people were nice to us, so now we're nice back." The girl went very still. Then so quietly Michael almost missed it. "What was her name?" "Sarah," Emma said. "Sarah," the girl repeated, like testing the weight of something beautiful. That's a good name." She lowered her hands, met Michael's eyes without flinching. "Rebecca," she whispered. My name is Rebecca. The 24-hour diner on State Street had cracked vinyl booths and coffee that tasted like regret. But it was warm, and the owner didn't ask questions. Rebecca sat facing the wall, hood up again, hands wrapped around a mug she didn't drink from. Emma ate pancakes and pretended not to stare. You don't have to tell me anything, Michael said. But if someone hurt you, there are people who can help. People like who? Rebecca's laugh was caustic. Social workers? Therapists? The police? She shook her head. You don't understand what you're dealing with. Then help me understand. She was quiet for a long moment. Outside, an ambulance screamed past. My father, she finally said, paid $300,000 to have this done to me. And when I tried to report it, every lawyer, every cop, every journalist, they all looked at the name on my birth certificate and walked away. Michael felt something cold settle in his stomach. What name? Rebecca pulled out a wallet from her pocket. Inside was an old driver's license, water-damaged but readable. The name made Michael's hands go numb. Rebecca Hale. As in Christopher Hale, the tech billionaire who'd revolutionized facial recognition software, who died 3 years ago when his yacht exploded off the coast of Greece. Your father's been dead for 3 years, Michael said slowly. I know. Rebecca's smile was ghastly. So who do you think ordered this? The photo appeared online at 2:47 a.m. Michael woke to 17 missed calls and his phone buzzing like a trapped insect. The headline read, Burned Girl Found with Single Dad. Police Investigating. Someone at the diner had recognized Rebecca, or maybe just saw a good story. Either way, the internet had already decided what the truth was. The comments were worse than Michael could have imagined. He probably did this to her. Classic trafficking situation. Why else would he run when she ran? By 6 a.m., there were news vans outside his apartment. By 8 a.m., CPS had flagged them as file. By noon, Michael's face was everywhere, and the caption was always the same: Predator or Savior. Rebecca saw the coverage from the motel room Michael had paid for. She called him once. I'm sorry, she whispered. This is what happens. They can't hurt me anymore, so they hurt everyone around me. Who's they? Michael demanded. The line went dead. When he tried calling back, the number was disconnected. The lawyer's office smelled like expensive leather and lies. Michael sat across from a woman named Patricia Chen, who'd shown up at his apartment that morning with a briefcase and an expression that suggested she'd seen worse than him, but not by much. You don't know me, she'd said, but I know what happened to Rebecca Hale, and if you want to keep your daughter, you're going to need my help. Now, in her downtown office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Loop, she spread documents across the conference table like a dealer showing her hand. Rebecca Hale was legally declared dead 3 years ago, Patricia said. August 14th, 2022. There was a fire at a charity gala in Manhattan. Christopher Hale's body was identified through dental records. His daughter's body was never found. They assumed she'd burned completely. But she didn't, Michael said. No, she was taken. Patricia slid a hospital record across the table. 6 months after the fire, a girl matching Rebecca's description was admitted to a private surgical facility in Palo Alto. No insurance, cash payment. The procedure took 11 hours. Michael stared at the document. The procedure code meant nothing to him, but the surgeon's notes were clear enough. Deliberate tissue destruction. 3rd-degree burns, left facial region. Patient sedated throughout. Why? His voice came out hoarse. Why would anyone? Because, Patricia interrupted, Rebecca Hale was about to testify against some very powerful people, and dead girls can't testify. But burned, traumatized girls who've been declared legally dead? She leaned back. Nobody believes them. Nobody even recognizes them. The pieces started clicking together in Michael's mind, awful and precise. What was she going to testify about? Patricia's expression went carefully neutral. That's where things get complicated. Christopher Hale didn't just build facial recognition software, he built prediction software. Algorithms that could identify criminals before they committed crimes, terrorists before they acted, dissidents before they organized. That's not possible, Michael said. It wasn't, until it was. Patricia pulled up a video on her tablet. This is from a demonstration Hale gave 6 months before he died. Pentagon officials, Homeland Security, a dozen senators. The video showed Christopher Hale, silver-haired, charismatic, terrifying, standing in front of a screen displaying faces. Our system has a 96% accuracy rate, he was saying. We can identify future threats before they become active threats. We can prevent crimes before they happen. The camera panned to the faces on screen. Young, brown, poor-looking. The pilot program, Hale continued, has already prevented an estimated 200 potential incidents. Someone in the audience asked, "What happens to the people you identify?" Hale's smile never wavered. They're monitored, offered intervention, given opportunities to choose different paths. Patricia paused the video. That's the official answer. Rebecca found out the real one. She pulled up another document. This one was a list of names, dates, and locations. These are people Hale's algorithm flagged as threats, Patricia said quietly. 47 of them died in accidents, suicides, or police encounters within 6 months of being identified. Another 100 simply disappeared. Michael felt sick. He was killing them. Not personally, but his system was being used by people who saw it as a solution to a problem. And Rebecca, his own daughter, was going to expose it all. Patricia closed the tablet. So they killed her father, made it look like she died in the same fire, then brought her back just long enough to ensure she'd never be believed again. The burns, Michael whispered. Facial recognition doesn't work on severely damaged faces, and traumatized witnesses aren't credible in court. They destroyed the one thing that could identify her and the one thing that could save her. Patricia's jaw tightened. It was elegant and monstrous. Michael thought about Rebecca's face, the surgical precision, the deliberate cruelty. "Why come to me?" he asked. "I'm nobody. I work in a hospital kitchen." "Because," Patricia said, "you're the first person who helped her without wanting something. And because viral stories work both ways. Right now, the internet thinks you're a predator. We're going to make them see you as a hero." "I don't want to be a hero. I just want my daughter safe." "Then we're on the same page," Patricia stood. "But we need to find Rebecca first. Because whoever did this to her, they're watching. And now that she's resurfaced, they're going to finish what they started." Emma was crying when Michael got home. His neighbor, an older woman named Mrs. Rodriguez who'd been watching her, looked shaken. "Someone called," she said quietly, pulling Michael aside. "A man. He asked if Emma was home. When I said yes, he said, 'Not for long.'" The blood drained from Michael's face. He checked Emma's room, her backpack, her closet. Everything seemed normal, but that didn't mean anything. That night he lay awake listening to every sound, every car, every footstep in the hallway. At 3 a.m. his phone buzzed. Unknown number, text message. It was a photo. Emma, taken from across the street, through his apartment window. Timestamp, 2:54 a.m. She was sleeping in her bed, clutching the stuffed rabbit Sarah had given her. Below the image, "You should have kept walking." Michael's hands shook so badly he almost dropped the phone. He went to Emma's room, locked the door from the inside, and sat in the chair beside her bed, with a kitchen knife in his lap. Outside, Chicago hummed with midnight traffic and distant sirens. Somewhere in that darkness, Rebecca was hiding, and somewhere else, someone was watching them both. The morning Emma didn't come home, Michael knew immediately something was wrong. He'd walked her to school himself, past the news vans, through the photographers, ignoring the shouted questions. He'd watched her go through the doors. He'd confirmed with her teacher that she'd arrived. But when he came to pick her up at 3 o'clock, the principal met him at the entrance with an expression that turned his blood to ice. "Mr. Torres, Emma left with your sister about an hour ago." "I don't have a sister." The principal's face went white. They checked the cameras. A woman in her 30s, professional looking, had presented identification claiming to be Michael's sister and Emma's authorized guardian. The signature looked legitimate. Emma had gone willingly. The police were called. Michael gave his statement in a small office that smelled like copy paper and fear. Detective Sarah Williams listened with the kind of professional sympathy that meant she'd seen this before, and it usually ended badly. "We've issued an Amber Alert," she said. "We're checking traffic cameras, reaching out to the woman's identification number, but Mr. Torres..." She hesitated. "Given the media attention around you and Rebecca Hale, we have to consider the possibility that this is connected." "You think?" Michael's voice came out harsh. He didn't care. His phone buzzed. He grabbed it desperately, hoping for something, anything. The message made his heart stop. It was a video. Emma sitting in the back of a moving car. She looked scared but unharmed. The camera was positioned so he could see her face clearly, but nothing else. No landmarks, no identifying details. A voice, digitally distorted, spoke over the footage. "Your daughter is safe, for now. If you want her to stay that way, you'll bring Rebecca Hale to the address we send you. Alone. You have 24 hours. If you involve the police again, Emma will disappear. If Rebecca doesn't come, Emma will disappear. If you try to run, Emma will disappear. The system is watching, Mr. Torres. It sees everything." The video ended. Michael looked up at Detective Williams with tears streaming down his face. "I need to make a phone call," he said. Patricia Chen answered on the first ring. "They took Emma," Michael said without preamble. "They want Rebecca in exchange." Silence on the other end. Then, "Where are you?" "Police station." "Leave, now. Don't tell them where you're going. Don't tell them anything." Her voice was urgent. "Michael, if they have Emma, it means they've been watching you since the beginning. Every call you make, every place you go, they know." "How is that possible?" "Because Christopher Hale's algorithm didn't die with him. Someone kept it running. Someone's been using it to track both you and Rebecca." She took a breath. "Listen carefully. There's a coffee shop 3 blocks south of the station. Go there. Order something. Sit facing the door. Don't use your phone. I'll find you." "How?" "Trust me." The line went dead. Michael made his excuses to Detective Williams, said he needed air, needed to think. She looked skeptical, but let him go. The coffee shop was called The Grind, and it was exactly the kind of place that served $8 lattes to people who worked in tech. Michael ordered black coffee he didn't drink and sat by the window, watching every person who entered. 20 minutes passed. Then a kid, couldn't have been more than 17, wearing a gaming headset around his neck, slid into the seat across from him. "Patricia says hi," the kid said. "Also, you've got 2 people watching you. Guy in the blue jacket by the counter, woman with a laptop near the bathroom. Both of them have been photographing you for the last 10 minutes. Michael started to turn. "Don't look," the kid said sharply. "They're using Hale's facial recognition system. If you make eye contact, the algorithm flags it as suspicious behavior." He pulled out a phone. "I'm Marco, by the way. I used to work for Hale before I figured out what he was really building." "Can you find my daughter?" "Working on it, but first we need to find Rebecca." Marco tapped something on his phone. "Patricia thinks Rebecca's hiding somewhere the algorithm can't see her. Somewhere without cameras, facial recognition, digital footprints." "Where the hell is that? This is Chicago." "Exactly one place." Marco showed him a map. "The old post office. It's been abandoned for decades. No power, no cameras, no internet. It's a dead zone." Michael stared at the location. "You think she's there?" "I think if I wanted to disappear from a system that sees everything, that's where I'd go." Marco stood. Come on, we need to move before they realize you're gone. What about the people watching me? Marco grinned. Already taken care of. As they left, Michael glanced back. The man in the blue jacket was staring at his phone, confused. The woman with the laptop was arguing with someone on the phone. What did you do? Michael asked. Fed the system fake data. Made it think you were still sitting at that table. We've got maybe 15 minutes before they figure it out. Marco was already moving fast. Let's not waste them. The old post office loomed against the gray sky like a tombstone. Michael and Marco entered through a service entrance Marco somehow knew about. Inside, the building was a maze of empty offices and corridors thick with dust. Rebecca, Michael called. His voice echoed. Nothing. They searched for 20 minutes before Marco grabbed Michael's arm. There, he whispered. A light, faint, flickering, coming from an office 3 floors up. They climbed the stairs carefully. The light grew brighter. Rebecca was there. She'd set up a camp of sorts. Sleeping bag, backpack, a dozen burner phones scattered around her. She was hunched over a laptop, and she looked up when they entered. How did you find me? She didn't sound surprised, just tired. It doesn't matter, Michael said. They have Emma. They want you. Rebecca closed her eyes. Of course they do. We can't give you to them, Marco said quickly, but we can use you as bait. No, Michael said. Listen, Marco insisted. They think they control the algorithm, but I built parts of it. I know how to feed it false information, how to make it see what we want it to see. He looked between them. We make them think Rebecca's coming, set up a meeting, but we bring the police, the media, everyone, force this into the light. They'll kill Emma, Michael said. Not if we move first. Marco pulled up something on his laptop. The algorithm runs on prediction. It makes assumptions based on patterns. But what if we break the pattern? What if we do something it can't predict? Rebecca spoke quietly. What are you saying? Marco smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I'm saying we crash the system. Every camera, every database, every piece of facial recognition software connected to Hale's algorithm. We shut it all down at once, create a blackout. And in that blackout, we get Emma back. Michael looked at Rebecca. Will it work? She met his eyes. For the first time since he'd met her, she didn't look away. I don't know, she said honestly, but I'm tired of hiding, and I'm tired of letting them win. Outside, the sky was darkening. Somewhere in Chicago, Emma was waiting, and somewhere else, an algorithm was watching them all, waiting to see what they'd do next. The abandoned warehouse in Pilsen looked like every other hostage exchange location Michael had seen in movies. Except this was real, and his daughter's life depended on what happened in the next hour. Marco had worked through the night, his fingers flying across multiple keyboards while Patricia made calls to every journalist, lawyer, and federal contact she had. Rebecca sat in the corner, her hood pulled up, but her hands steady as she helped route Marco's code through proxy servers. The plan was insane, but it was all they had. Okay, Marco said at 6 a.m., his eyes red-rimmed. The algorithm pulls data from 83 different surveillance networks across Chicago. At exactly 7:15, I'm going to flood every single one with corrupted data. The system will shut down automatically. It's programmed to do that rather than process bad information. We'll have maybe 10 minutes before they realize what's happening and start manual overrides. 10 minutes, Michael repeated. That's it? That's everything. Marco looked at him seriously. Once those cameras go dark, you get Emma and run. Don't stop. Don't look back. There's a van waiting 2 blocks north. Patricia will be there. What about Rebecca? Rebecca spoke up. I'm coming with you. No, Michael said immediately. You're the one they want. If they see you, they're going to see me anyway. She stood, and for the first time she pulled her hood back completely. The morning light caught her scars, but she didn't flinch. I'm done hiding. I'm done letting them use my face as a weapon. She looked at Michael. Your daughter asked me if it hurt all the time. I told her yes. but I'm tired of hurting alone. Patricia entered, phone pressed to her ear. She hung up and nodded. FBI is 10 minutes out. Local news is positioning crews. But Michael, the people who took Emma, sent new instructions. They moved the meeting location. She showed him her phone. The address made his stomach drop. The Hale Foundation building, he whispered. It was Christopher Hale's former headquarters, now a museum dedicated to his technological legacy, right in the heart of downtown, surrounded by cameras, security, thousands of people. They're not even trying to hide anymore, Rebecca said bitterly. They want this public. They want everyone to see me go in and never come out. Then we give them what they want, Patricia said, but not the ending they expect. At 7:10 a.m., Michael Torres walked through the front doors of the Hale Foundation with Rebecca Hale beside him. The building's atrium was a cathedral to technology. Glass and steel stretching 5 stories high, with Christopher Hale's most famous quote etched into the wall. The system sees what humans miss. Security was waiting. Stop there, a guard called. He looked nervous. Only the girl comes forward. No, Michael said. We stay together. Then you'll watch your daughter die. A screen flickered to life on the far wall. Emma's face filled it. She was in a white room, sitting in a chair, her eyes wide with fear. A figure stood behind her, face obscured by shadows. The same distorted voice from the video spoke through the building's sound system. Rebecca Hale died 3 years ago, but ghosts keep appearing. This ends now. Step forward, Rebecca. Alone, or Emma Torres goes into the system permanently. Rebecca started forward, but Michael grabbed her wrist. Wait, he said. Michael, they'll kill her. I know, but Marco said 7:15. He checked his watch. 3 minutes. The voice on the speaker laughed. Your hacker friend is talented, but the system is smarter. We've been watching him watch us. His attack was neutralized an hour ago. Michael's blood ran cold. It's over, the voice continued. Rebecca, step forward. Now. Rebecca pulled free from Michael's grip, started walking, and that's when Marco's voice crackled through Michael's phone. Plan B. The lights went out. Every screen in the building went dark. The emergency systems kicked in, bathing everything in red. But Marco hadn't shut down the cameras, he'd hijacked them. Suddenly, every screen in the building lit up again, but instead of Emma, they showed something else. Files, documents, videos, Christopher Hale's real work, the algorithm, the predictions, the list of names, and deaths. 47 deaths. 3 years ago, Rebecca's voice rang out through the building. Marco must have patched her through the sound system. My father showed me what he'd built. A system that could predict crime, prevent terrorism, save lives. She walked further into the atrium, and cameras, the ones Marco now controlled, followed her. But that's not what it did. It murdered people, poor people, brown people, people who didn't look right, didn't act right, didn't fit the pattern. And when I tried to stop it, they killed my father and erased me. The screen shifted, showed the surgical records, the burn procedure, the payments. People were gathering now, museum visitors, security guards, morning workers arriving for the day. And outside, news crews were setting up, drawn by the spectacle. The system had wanted this public. Now it was. The person on this speaker, Rebecca continued, her voice steady. They're using my father's algorithm right now. They can see every face in this building. They know who you are, where you live, who you love, and if you become inconvenient, you disappear. The distorted voice came back, angry now. Shut her down. Shut it all down. But Marco's code was spreading. The files were uploading to every major news site, every social media platform, every server he could reach. The system couldn't stop what was already free. Michael ran. Through the chaos, following the building schematics Marco had sent to his phone. The white room had to be here somewhere. He found it on the 3rd floor. The door was locked, but he'd grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall. He smashed it against the handle until something gave. Emma was inside, alone now. The figure had fled. "Daddy!" She crashed into him, sobbing. "I've got you," he whispered. "I've got you." By the time they made it outside, the FBI had arrived. Patricia was talking to agents, pointing at the building, at Rebecca, showing them the files Marco had released. Rebecca stood in the center of it all, her face fully visible under the morning sun, cameras everywhere, and she wasn't hiding anymore. A reporter pushed forward. "Rebecca Hale, you were declared dead." "I was," she said clearly. "They killed me because I knew too much. And now everyone knows." Another reporter. "Who did this to you?" Rebecca looked directly into the camera. "The system did. The algorithm my father built. And the people who've been using it to play God." She paused. "Their faces are in those files. Their names are on those payments. Find them. Stop them. Make sure no one else gets erased." Michael stood beside her, holding Emma's hand. A reporter turned to him. "Mr. Torres, why did you help her?" He thought about that night in the rain, about the girl screaming for people to stop looking, about his daughter asking if it hurt all the time. "Because she asked for help," he said simply. "And I could." The cameras loved it. The internet loved it. By noon, the hashtag #FindThemAll was trending. By evening, 3 executives connected to Hale's original program had been arrested. By midnight, the algorithm was offline. But Michael wasn't watching the news. He was in his apartment, Emma asleep in her room, finally safe. There was a knock at his door. Rebecca stood there, hood down, face bare. "I'm leaving tomorrow," she said. "Patricia found a doctor in Boston who specializes in reconstructive surgery. Not to fix the scars, they're part of me now, but to make it hurt less." She paused. "I wanted to say goodbye." "Where will you go after?" "I don't know. Somewhere without cameras, maybe." She smiled slightly. "Somewhere I can figure out who I am when I'm not running." Michael nodded. "You saved Emma, saved me. Thank you." "You saved me first," Rebecca said quietly. "You looked away when everyone else stared. You saw me when I was invisible." She took a breath. "The doctor says the surgery will take months. After that, if you're still here, maybe I could visit, meet Emma properly, try being someone normal." Michael thought about the question Emma had asked. "Does it hurt all the time?" He thought about Sarah and grief and how you learned to carry pain until it became something else. "We'll be here," he said. "Take your time." Rebecca nodded, started to leave. "Rebecca?" She turned. "When you come back," Michael said, "we'll go somewhere without screens. Just people. Just real." Her smile was small but genuine. "I'd like that." After she left, Michael checked on Emma one more time. She was sleeping peacefully, clutching her rabbit. Outside, Chicago hummed with midnight traffic, but in his small apartment, for the first time in days, everything was quiet. The system wasn't watching anymore. They were finally free. 3 months later, Michael's phone rang while he was making Emma breakfast. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, old habits from the surveillance days, but something made him pick up. "It's me," Rebecca's voice said. "I'm at the airport." His heart jumped. "Boston already?" "Not exactly. The surgery is in 2 weeks, but I was thinking..." She paused. "I don't want to spend 14 days alone in a hotel room, and I still owe Emma that proper introduction." Emma looked up from her cereal. "Is that the burned girl?" "Emma," Michael started. "It's okay." Rebecca's voice came through the speaker. "She can call me that. It's true." "I call you Rebecca," Emma said loudly enough for the phone to catch. "Burned girl is rude." Michael heard something on the other end that might have been a laugh or might have been crying. "Can she come over?" Emma asked. Michael looked at his daughter, 7 years old, still wearing the princess pajamas Sarah had bought her, absolutely fearless in her kindness. "Yeah," he said into the phone. "She can come over." Rebecca arrived that afternoon with a backpack and the same hoodie she'd worn that night in the rain, though she kept the hood down now. Emma answered the door and studied her seriously. "Your face doesn't look as scary as the pictures," she announced. "Emma!" Michael called from the kitchen, but Rebecca knelt down to Emma's level. "What do you think it looks like?" Emma considered this. "Like a dragon breathed on you, but you survived. That's pretty cool." Rebecca blinked. "Yeah, I guess it is." They spent the afternoon in ways that surprised Michael with their normalcy. Emma showed Rebecca her drawings. Rebecca helped with homework. She'd apparently been some kind of prodigy before everything happened. They made cookies, and Emma insisted on putting pink frosting on all of them. At dinner, Emma asked the question Michael had been dreading. "Why did your dad burn you?" Michael started to intervene, but Rebecca shook her head slightly. "He didn't," she said carefully. "My dad was actually trying to protect me, but some bad people found out, and they hurt both of us to keep us quiet." "Did they go to jail?" "Some of them. The FBI is still looking for others." "Good," Emma nodded firmly. "Bad people should go to jail." After Emma went to bed, Michael and Rebecca sat on the small balcony of his apartment. The city glittered below them, all lights and movement. "The FBI called yesterday," Rebecca said quietly. "They found the surgeon, the one who did this to me. He was paid $2 million. He kept records of everything, voice recordings of his orders, payment trails, emails." She stared at her hands. "It went higher than we thought. People in Homeland Security, defense contractors. They were selling the algorithm to dictatorships, totalitarian governments, using my father's work to hunt dissidents worldwide." "Jesus," Michael breathed. "The trial starts in 6 months. They want me to testify." She looked at him. "Patricia says we can't lose, but testifying means everyone sees me again. Everyone knows my face. No more hiding." "Is that what you want? To hide?" Rebecca was quiet for a long time. "I spent 3 years invisible," she finally said. "I thought that's what I wanted, to disappear completely. But you know what the worst part was? Not the pain, not the scars. It was the silence. No one seeing me, no one knowing I existed." She touched her face gently. "The burns were supposed to erase me. Instead, they made me visible in a different way. People look now. They see something. Maybe not what I used to be, but something real." "You were always real," Michael said. She smiled. "I'm starting to believe that." A notification lit up Michael's phone. Another news alert. The Hale case was everywhere now. Investigations spreading globally. The algorithm being dismantled piece by piece. "Marco emailed me," Rebecca said. "He's building something new. An anti-surveillance network. Technology designed to protect privacy instead of destroying it. He wants me to help consult." She laughed softly. "Turns out being the girl who broke the system has some career advantages." "You'd be good at that." "Maybe. After Boston. After I figure out—" She gestured vaguely at her face. "All this." "Can I ask you something?" Michael said. "That night in the rain, you were screaming for people not to look at you. But you knew they would. You knew someone would record it. Why go to such a public place?" Rebecca was silent for a moment, then let out a long breath. "Because I was tired of dying quietly," she said. "For 3 years I hid. I let them erase me. That night I just found out they were expanding the algorithm, selling it to 6 more countries. Thousands of people were going to disappear like I did. And I realized they win if I stay silent. They win if I keep hiding." She looked at him. "So I went to the most public place I could find and screamed. I didn't know what would happen. I didn't know if anyone would help or if they'd just film me until I gave up and jumped in front of a train." "Emma heard you," Michael said quietly. "Emma saved me," Rebecca corrected. "She asked if it hurt. Not what happened, not who did it, just if it hurt." Her voice cracked. "No one had asked me that in 3 years." Below them, an ambulance wailed past, the sound that had become the soundtrack of both their lives. Emergency, crisis, survival. The surgery, Michael said. Will it fix everything? No. The nerve damage is permanent. The scarring goes too deep. She smiled slightly. But it'll reduce the pain, make it easier to move my face. Maybe I'll be able to smile without it feeling like my skin is tearing. She paused. The doctor said something interesting. He said scars are just proof that you healed. The body's way of saying, something terrible happened here, but I survived. That's a good way to think about it. Yeah, Rebecca touched her face again, tentative. I'm not trying to erase what happened. I'm just trying to make it hurt less. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Rebecca said, Can I tell you something I haven't told anyone? Not Patricia, not the FBI, not even Marco. Of course. The night they burned me, I was awake. Michael's blood went cold. They told me they were sedating me, Rebecca continued, her voice steady but distant. The IV went in. I started to drift, but I could still hear, still feel. They thought I was under, but I was trapped in my body, screaming inside while they... She stopped, breathed. The surgeon kept saying, precision is key, like he was working on a piece of art instead of destroying a person. Rebecca, I need to say this. She looked at him, and her eyes were dry but fierce. I felt every second, and afterward when I woke up fully and saw what they'd done, I wanted to die. I tried to die, 3 times in 6 months, but each time something stopped me. She smiled bitterly. You know what it was? Anger, pure fucking rage. They wanted me erased. They wanted me silent. And I realized the only way to truly kill me was to make me give up. So I didn't. I survived out of spite. That's not spite, Michael said. That's strength. Maybe it's both. She exhaled slowly. But spite only gets you so far. Eventually you need something else to live for. And I didn't have that until I met you and Emma. Until I saw that someone could look at me and see a person instead of a victim or a monster or a viral video. She wiped her eyes quickly. You gave me something to survive toward instead of just surviving away from. Michael didn't know what to say to that, so he just sat with her in the silence, the way he'd learned to do after Sarah died, being present without trying to fix what couldn't be fixed. After a while, Rebecca spoke again. If I testify, they'll use everything against me. The suicide attempts, the trauma. They'll say I'm unstable, unreliable. They'll put my face on every screen again and let the internet decide if I'm telling the truth. And you're afraid. Terrified, she admitted. But I'm tired of being afraid, and I'm tired of letting fear make my decisions. She looked at him. So I'm going to testify. I'm going to stand in front of everyone and show them exactly what the system did. And when they ask if I'm sure, if I'm certain, if I'm stable enough to be believed, I'll show them the recordings. What recordings? Rebecca pulled out her phone, opened a file. The surgeon kept audio logs. His precision is key notes. He documented everything, including my vitals showing I was conscious, including the moment he realized I was awake and chose to keep going anyway. Her smile was sharp as broken glass. Marco found them in the encrypted files. The FBI has copies, but I kept one for myself, proof that I'm not crazy, proof that every nightmare I have is real. Michael felt sick. God, the everlasting Lord. The prosecutor says it's the strongest evidence we have, impossible to refute. The surgeon's own voice describing what he did to me while I was screaming inside my head. She closed the phone. They wanted to erase me. Instead, they documented their own crimes. That's justice, Michael said. Maybe. Or maybe it's just revenge that happens to be legal. She shrugged. Either way, I'll take it. The next 2 weeks passed in a strange domestic rhythm that surprised all of them. Rebecca helped Emma with school projects. Michael taught her how to make his mother's arroz con pollo. They watched movies together. Emma insisted on Disney, And Rebecca didn't object, even when Michael saw her crying during Moana. "It's the grandmother," Rebecca explained, wiping her eyes. "She comes back as a manta ray. I like stories where the dead don't stay gone." Patricia visited twice, bringing legal documents and updates. The FBI had arrested 11 more people. 3 countries had suspended their surveillance contracts. The algorithm was being systematically dismantled. "You did this," Patricia told Rebecca. "You brought down an entire shadow network." "We did this," Rebecca corrected, glancing at Michael. The night before Rebecca's flight to Boston, Emma gave her a drawing. It showed 3 stick figures, one tall, one small, one with a pink hood. They were holding hands under a rainbow. "That's us," Emma explained. "You're part of our family now." Rebecca stared at the drawing for a long time. "Can I keep this?" she asked, her voice thick. "It's yours," Emma said, "for when you're scared at the hospital, so you remember people love you." After Emma went to bed, Rebecca stood at the door with her backpack, the drawing carefully folded in her pocket. "2 weeks," she said, "then recovery, then physical therapy. The doctor says 3 months before I'm fully mobile again." "We'll be here," Michael said. "And after the trial?" "We'll still be here." Rebecca nodded, started to leave, stopped. "Michael, that night in the rain, if you'd kept walking, where would I be now?" He thought about it honestly. "I don't know. Maybe the same place. Maybe somewhere worse. Maybe you'd have found someone else to help." "But it was you," she said. "It was Emma asking if it hurt. It was your family being kind when the world was cruel. That matters. You know that, right? You changed everything by just seeing me." "You changed us too," Michael said. "After Sarah died, we were just surviving, going through motions. You reminded us why we're supposed to help people, why Emma's kindness matters, why showing up matters." Rebecca smiled, carefully, because smiling still hurt, but genuinely. "See you in 3 months?" "See you in 3 months." She left. Michael stood at the door for a long time after she was gone, thinking about algorithms and patterns and predictions. The system had seen Rebecca as a threat to be eliminated. It had seen Michael as a target to be silenced. It had seen Emma as leverage to be used. But the system couldn't predict kindness, couldn't calculate compassion, couldn't foresee what happened when someone asked, "Does it hurt?" and meant it. The algorithm had failed because it tried to reduce humans to data points, and humans were always more than the sum of their patterns. Michael checked on Emma one last time. She was sleeping peacefully, the drawing supplies still scattered around her bed. Tomorrow they'd go back to their normal lives, school and work, and the beautiful, mundane routine of survival. But they'd be different now, marked by this strange intersection of pain and kindness, trauma and healing, surveillance and freedom. The system wasn't watching anymore, but they were watching for each other. And maybe, Michael thought as he turned off the lights, that was the only algorithm that ever really mattered. 6 months later, the courthouse steps were packed with cameras. Rebecca Hale stood at the microphone, Patricia beside her, the FBI flanking them both. Her face was healing. The surgery had helped. The scars were still there, would always be there, but softer now, more integrated, part of her instead of apart from her. "Today," Rebecca said clearly, "James Chen was convicted on 47 counts of murder, conspiracy, and crimes against humanity. He will spend the rest of his life in prison." The crowd erupted. "But this isn't over," Rebecca continued. "The algorithm my father built is being used in 12 countries. Surveillance systems are expanding. Technology designed to predict crime is being weaponized to eliminate dissent." She looked directly into the cameras. "So I'm not disappearing again. I'm starting a foundation, the Sarah Torres Foundation for Digital Rights and Privacy Protection." Michael, watching from the back of the crowd with Emma, felt his breath catch. Sarah's name. Rebecca was naming it after Sarah. "We're going to fight surveillance capitalism," Rebecca continued. We're going to protect people from being erased. We're going to make sure the system never again decides who deserves to be seen and who deserves to disappear. She paused. And we're going to do it in memory of everyone who showed kindness when the world demanded cruelty. Emma tugged Michael's sleeve. She said Mom's name. Yeah, baby, she did. That's good. Mom would like helping people not disappear. Michael pulled his daughter close and watched Rebecca face the cameras without flinching, without hiding, without apologizing for taking up space. The girl who was supposed to be erased had become impossible to ignore. And the algorithm that tried to predict everything had failed to see the one thing that mattered most. When you burn someone, sometimes they don't turn to ash. Sometimes they become fire.